Thank you and good day. My name is Javier Viramontes, visiting lecturer at RIT and founder of Format, a design consultancy with a research-based approach whose aim is creating design that is both subjectively meaningful and formally timeless. I'm accompanied by my research assistant, Roblin Powley, first-year visual communication design MFA candidate. The title of the talk is taken from an exhibition I curated at the University of New Haven of historically significant Swiss posters from the private collection of Tom Strong. The exhibition was aimed at deepening both the practical and historical education of students with a deeply material experience. The gallery was accessible, becoming an active workspace where students were able to copy, transform, and combine new works based on these timeless exemplars. The exhibition title outlines a methodology of using archives to engage design history, not as a static memory, but rather as part of a continuous lived experience, allowing students to visit history through the lens of their own formal and conceptual interests. In dealing with historical artifacts, we come into the concept of heterotopias, a term coined by Michel Foucault from his essay Of Other Spaces, Utopias and Heterotopias. The term is best explained as a territory that both invites and excludes at the same time. Examples included honeymoon suites, libraries, museums, and in our case, archives and private collections. Heterotopias are a dilemma, both spatially and pedagogically. As a space within a space, access into archives and collections can provide a challenge. They might be off limits, students might lack the knowledge of their existence, or students might bar themselves entry by feelings of inadequacy. My personal experience with archives began over a decade ago at the Robert Kelly American Wood Type Museum at UT Austin. This open-access working museum provided me with an infinitely valuable experience. It allowed me to ask, was history sacred? Is it something to contend with or remix? Is it something to experiment with? Along with fellow typographic aficionados Aham Growie and Lauren Dickens, we were able to touch visual worlds we had never seen. With an entirely naive spirit, we proposed to Professor David Shields, then curator of the collection, that we would print type specimens of the various faces within the collection. The open access model provided encouragement to experiment, commit mistakes, and come up with strategies to amend our errors. The outcome was an exhibition titled Fully Justified Mistakes, where our printing mishaps manifested into playful typographic experiments that contrasted the specimen format. All learning began through emulation or copying. So foreign and abstract was this visual world, reversed in contrast and wildly exaggerated, that the most sensible conclusion to understand it was to digitize and revive this old typeface called Aldine Expanded. The outcome was published through a digital type foundry, the Lost Type Co-op. The transformation from movable type to open type yielded the addition of new possibilities such as language support in the form of diacritics, extending the utility of the original archival object to one of broader cultural utility. The opportunity to expand this digitization came this past year with the help of Roblin and her interest in RIT's Carey Arts collection, which holds 45,000 volumes and over 130 archival collections of graphic communication, including a large holding of wood-type specimens. In figuring out a research project for her, we decided we could combine the notion of historical type revivals with Gary Nordside's idea of contrast for interpolation. Aldine Expanded, like many typefaces of the 19th century, lacked any systematic categorization schemes, having many optical sizes, variations, and even dupes. Each instance we found would become a master within a variable font.
Coming into this process, I knew my two goals were quote-unquote research and digitization, but I wasn't sure exactly what that meant from a practical standpoint, having neither drafted a font nor done archival research. So I started my process by connecting with Amelia Hugel-Fontenelle. She's the associate curator at the Carey Collection, and she was able to pre-pull a number of specimens from the collection that were most likely to contain examples of Aldine, its predecessors, and its variants. I went to the archive and physically examined the specimens, photographed them for reference, and recorded the details in a database. The Carey Archive holds high-resolution digital images of many, if not all of these specimens, However, I found the physical process of searching through the collection allowed me to consider each example more closely and helped me to build my own visual understanding of Aldine. Once I had collected information on a variety of specimens, I reviewed those examples to determine a starting point for digitization. Since many of the specimens do not include full sets of glyphs, I focus my attention on specimens containing full upper and lower cases, as well as figures and in some cases punctuation. The biggest challenge in the drafting has been the subjective part of recreating historical artifacts. Even the highest resolution images are still images of an imperfect manufacture and printing process. So each letter of each specimen presented a series of decisions that were an attempt to balance the original intent of the letter form, the physical imperfections of the specimen, and the project goals of a usable, functional revival of Aldine. Once I had digitized one full set of uppercase characters, I was able to compare these to Javier's existing drafted examples and begin a secondary process of assessment, bringing the technical drafting elements in line with one another for compatibility and further analyzing the letter forms in comparison with one another. This project allowed me the opportunity to gain a greater familiarity with the types of archival resources available and how best to approach them when doing research. And moving forward, my research for this project will continue both at the Cary Collection and hopefully in partnership with other institutions. And the process of drafting and refining each specimen will continue as we work to build the final Aldine variable font.
Combining complete masters across a design space is quite a challenge, but this problem provides an opportunity for something unique to emerge. Here we can see each master accompanied with an extreme contrast version. A heterotopia is perhaps something too obvious, the natural process of understanding, of gaining increasing ownership and access through learning. But educators and students can both follow this powerful triad of copying, combining, and transforming as a means to navigate both the known past and the unknown future. Thank you.